What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the BizDad recap episode on kids in business. So please take a listen to this episode. We've got a bunch of different advice for involving your kids in business, or maybe your kids starting their own business. I'm really excited to share this recap episode with you. If you hear something, jump back to the full episode. Listen to the full episode. Take some good notes, subscribe, all that stuff you're supposed to do to help this channel grow, to help get this information out to more people. Having your kids involved in your business is an amazing thing for both the kid and the business. So please listen intently, take notes, and let us know what we can do to support you in getting your kids involved in business. So please have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see everybody in the new year. I'm excited to chat with Mike Wilson, fellow military veteran, law enforcement officer, entrepreneur, real estate guy.
I feel like I've had so much lost opportunity to get to know my children and what their desires and their goals were. It was more of, here are your rules, follow them or face consequences. Have a nice day. And I immediately started doing some of the things that all of my pod members are doing and everything else, is I'm setting up my kids with one-on-ones and asking them, hey, how's your girlfriend? Hey, what do you see in your next 5 years of your life? What are your goals and desires? And I did the core values test. What are your core values? Here's my core values, but a lot of this comes from the military and from business, but like trying to get them to at least intentionally think about their future. And I sent them my vivid vision, my 5-year goal plan. And it talks about my company's going to be worth $25 to $100 million. I'm going to have real estate. I'm going to have a restaurant. And then I sent it to them like, hey, here's what dad's vision is. And they're like, oh, cool. And back to gaming. And again, having a BizDad podcast, a lot of dads struggle with the balance between giving them the freedom to do what they want and dictate to them, hey, you're screwing up your life. You need to get on this path to be successful. Because of course, even when I was a kid, every kid wants the nice cars and the nice trips and all this stuff, but they don't know what it's like to have to work for that stuff yet. It's given to them. So it's hard to get them on the path. Hey, I'm going to drag you along and force you to understand some of this business stuff, some of this financial stuff. And they pick up some tidbits. I had them do one of those mock stock accounts, and I gave them 10,000 virtual dollars and said, hey, go pick whatever you want. Cruise lines, EA Sports, gaming stuff, ESPN, whatever stocks you want. And then we tracked it over several months, and at the end it fizzled out. And I was super excited about it. This is more for me. I was like, oh, look, you earned free money. You got a dividend this month, or your Apple stock went up 10% and free money. And then they're like, oh, that's cool. Are we done here? And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm doing things the wrong way and trying to impose it on them, but I want them to have at least a fringe understanding that at the end of the day, you have to work for what you get.
When you came back from Oconee, did you have conversations with your sons, especially, right, about what you learned at Oconee?
Absolutely. Yeah. They were super excited. And of course, they were encouraging because I sent them a text that night and I said, hey, I just want to let you guys know the last 15 years I've been screwing you guys up. My bad. And now that I'm this, and I honestly believe it was an awakening for me. Like I'm a new person now. And I want to, of course, there's a time where I have to be the disciplinarian and not your friend. But as late stage teenagers, you guys are already there. If you want to go do something, I'm going to support you. Now I could be your friend and mentor, because if you do some stupid stuff, you're going to go to jail, and like, that's on you. I taught you right from wrong, but now I can encourage you, mentor you, and give you guidance. If you say you want to go be a professional hang glider, cool. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out a way we can facilitate that. But it has to be their passion and their goal, not mine.
Yeah. So what have you pulled out from them that are their passions and their goals? And it's okay to say that you haven't been able to get to that point yet. Just asking.
I feel genetics, there's always that lifelong struggle between nature versus nurture. And I can see that my two oldest sons are from a previous marriage. And I can see definite gene structures from both of our lines. Some exude more me and some exude more her. I was a late bloomer too. I was 22 before I said, you know what, I'm going to make military a career. So I'm trying to be patient, because we can't expect these teenagers to say, here's what I'm going to do with my life at 16, 17, 18. I didn't become a police officer until I was 30. So I'm trying to be patient, but I want to see some type of, here's my thing. And if you change your mind, that's cool. I just wake up, go to a part-time job, and then come home and do a couple chores and then play video games and go with my friends. And then I repeat like they're on Groundhog Day. And most kids at that age, they're like, oh, I'm going to go to 4 years of college and then 2 years of college, and I'm going to go get this job. And of course, life happens and things change. But to answer your question, I'm being patient on letting them reveal what their goals and dreams are. My 17-year-old did express a desire to grow the restaurant business with me, and he's been asking for more responsibility in that world, which I can see that. And the oldest one, he works there full time, and he has been like, he just got employee of the month. Like,
nice.
I don't treat him as
change.
That's my boy. He can do no wrong. He was not doing a good job. And I explained to him about his attitude, his mindset, and his workmanship. And he's since then made a 180 and is doing quite well. Great rapport. He gets 5-star reviews by name because he talks to his customers. So I see growth and progress. I just don't want to say, hurry up and pick something because it's on your own accord and you have to be happy with your life the way you see it. My adventure has led me to crave and desire success, and some of the pillars we use and the concepts we have as far as entrepreneurs and expecting failure and keep on moving forward. Like, my kids have a pool and they have the Xboxes and they have the flat screen TVs. We want them to do better, but they're never going to have the desires that you and I might have had through joining the military or creating passive wealth, because they have pretty much everything that we can provide for them. And they don't have the passion to level up like you or I might. I bring my sons into my business meetings and let them know, hey, I've raised $1 million for my expansion. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And then they just pop a soda and keep playing games. I would have been enamored with a father figure of any sort to tell me anything, but at least a mentor to say, hey, Mike, let me show you how to get here from here. And you can end up at the top of the mountain, whatever that means to you. And I'm trying to coach and mentor other blue collar workers, law enforcement, military guys that don't know the things that I've, learned through your podcast, other podcasts, and reading books and YouTube channels and all the stuff. Like, they just don't have that drive or desire. And I want them to follow me, and I can show you some stuff and you can live a really magical, abundant life. So I don't know is that possible?
So I'd say it's possible. However, as you are probably aware, when you have a 19 or 17-year-old, their testosterone is telling them the things that they want to do, as opposed to their brain telling them the things that they want to do. And so I think at this point, it's more of be a good representation of what it's supposed to be, and remind them that you are successful and wealthy. They are poor and miserable without you. And it's not to be a jerk about it. It's just, hey, what I've created is not what you have. What's yours is what you have created. So when you go out and create something, that's when I will help you to the end of my abilities in creating something. But you have to be able to be the one to create it. And eventually, maybe when they're 25, and I'm saying this with a 9-year-old next to me, right? Through a lot of these conversations and a lot of the people I've talked to about all of this stuff, it may not be until they're 25 that they come back and say, hey, what was that you said again about when they just moved out of their van? And they're like, son of a gun, I should have listened to dad before. Like my pastor at church the other day was like, I should be the one that everybody looks to and say, hey, look at his kids doing a wonderful job in church and all the amazing things they're doing for the Lord and all of this stuff. But no, I live in a sinful world just like everybody else. My kids are going to do what they want to do. I'm struggling with 2 of my kids to keep them in the church and to show them what they need to be doing. They're adult kids and they make the decisions they want to make. And all we could do is represent in the positive way. If we push too hard, then it ends up being a negative. And if we drag them along, it's a negative, and we're not doing. And if we give them the entire world, then that's going to be bad too. That goes to the shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves conversation, right? Like, it's where 3 generations, like it takes 1 generation to make the money and another generation for it to be gone again. You could just see that process happening. In Go Abundance, we talk about that a lot. What do we do to instill the drive that we got because of our past into our kids when they don't live that life? That you have to give them the challenges that are needed to learn the things that we did. Hey, you need to get a job, or you need to do these things for the family. I will defer to some other folks that have older kids than me and just let you know that stay strong in what you're doing, right? Be a solid role model. Give them as much of an example as you possibly can to say, hey, this is how you can be successful. You do whatever it is that you want to do to be successful. Like when people ask me, hey, do you want your kids to join the military? Now, Adam, plug your ears. No, I don't want my kids to join the military. If they do, that's fine. I'm not opposed to it. I just want you to know all of the options that are out there. I want you to know all the options that you have available to you working with dad. And if that's what you choose to do, then great. If not, then great. But I'm gonna be there for you no matter what. Dang it, I just said it.
I told my son if he wanted to go be a DJ in Vegas and live on somebody's couch, I would help facilitate that. But you find your own passion and have to fail on your own. And you can't just do what I'm doing and expect the same results, because the seeds we planted long ago are not. I was a 2.5 student. I dropped out of a couple of colleges, just not wanting to go. And then in basic training, I became honor graduate. In tech school, I was a distinguished graduate. And immediately, as an enlisted guy, I was like, you know what? I'm going to become an officer and have a bigger impact. And then I started, my friends were all doing the drinking parties and dorm parties. And I was like, I got to write this paper. And then I get the call from the general at Lackland Air Force Base. Hey, come visit me, bud. You're going to be one of us. And then their face changed, like, oh man, I should have done what Mike told me to do, is go to school with him, and Nick, in 18 months, we could have been doing this together. And then you can see immediate regret. Like, how is this guy going to go command now because he went to school for a few semesters?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's part of the deal.
You said that your oldest is already in the business. So Ethan is working in the business full time. No one wants full time, or?
No, he's still in high school, but he comes on the weekends and days off.
Awesome. So with both of them being in the business, how did you bring them into it, and how do you foresee them continuing on in the business?
So I brought them in as, hey, this half white, half Puerto Rican guy just bought a Thai restaurant. You guys need a job. Now you're employed. And I told them, like, hey, you're employed now. Yeah. And here's what your responsibilities are. Because I asked my son, because Ethan has free 4 years of college if he wants it through the military. Yeah. Or trade school or anything. And I said, hey, dude, like, you're an adult now. What do you want to do? He goes, oh, I want to work at the restaurant. Okay, cool. You understand you're not going to be working 10 hours a week and lounging at the house. You're going to be a full-time employee, and you're going to be given extra responsibilities, and you're there as an employee to support the business. And if you do not, just because you're the owner's son doesn't mean you get special privileges. If you don't do your job, that's what's going to happen. You're going to go away and you go work at Sonic again, if that's what you want to do. And then I believe I've cultivated an environment that is fun and energetic. The restaurant business is the restaurant business. Like, it's stressful and it's multitasking, and you're always going to mess up. And I'll share this story. When my son first became a server, like, when he was 18, he started serving tables. So he started off like just packing to-goes. And then I was a server for a long time at Chili's, bartender, manager at Chili's. So I have a little bit of restaurant management experience, and I know how the systems there work. Yeah. So I said, hey, I want to make him a server, knowing that he doesn't have any experience. When someone asked for a lime for their margarita, he brought out a whole lime and just handed it to them with his hand. And I said, and of course, I started cracking up. And if he's embarrassed, and I say, hey, dude, like, you don't know what you don't know. And unless you're an experienced server, that's not how you do it. Cut the lime, put a little slit in there, put it on a plate, and hand it. You don't want to see your hands on their food. Okay, cool. Like you said, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations where you don't know. Now you're thrown into a whole new game where you're going to mess up. You're going to give bad service. You're going to forget to ring up orders. You're going to forget drinks. And then the more you fail, the more experience you get. Now you're employee of the month because you're giving great service. Yeah. So I try to bring them in that way and let them know it's okay to not know everything, but you have to not do the same thing every day and keep on trying to acquire more knowledge, because as you acquire more experience and knowledge, you become more valuable to the company. As you become more valuable to the company, then you get better income or equity or ownership. Because I told them, I was like, if you guys want to be corporate training team or run a whole restaurant by yourself, you can do that. You have to put in the work. Yeah.
Yeah. The Jordan Peterson, I love listening to him a lot. And one of the things he talks about is asking stupid questions, right? Is an imperative. Like, we all need to ask stupid questions. Because the beautiful thing about asking a stupid question is you only have to ask it once. Because once you ask the stupid question and you get the answer, You're no longer stupid in that scenario anymore.
Right.
You now know. You have gained knowledge, and you no longer now it's not a stupid question. It will be if you have to ask it again, right? Because you're going through it. But you gained that knowledge. If I keep bringing out a whole line and I'm not learning, different story. But when you learn from it, you know, he talked about his daughter a lot in that, where when they were first starting all of this, the YouTube and all that type of stuff, like when he got thrust into that world, they had no idea what they were doing. And he was like, so my daughter would come to all these meetings and ask a bunch of stupid questions. And it was great because by the end of it, we had so much more knowledge because she was willing to ask all of these questions because we needed to gain the knowledge. We needed to know where it's at.
Right.
I just spent right before this call, like 45 minutes with our EOS implementer asking stupid questions because I was like, dude, I need to know that I'm doing the right things in this. And I need to know that I don't know what I don't know. So ask the questions and figure it out. And I think that we live in a world where, you know, people make fun of you so much for one thing or another. And for me, it's okay. I'd rather be made fun of for trying to learn than made fun of for sitting back doing nothing. So you might as well get made fun of for trying to learn and grow.
And that's what the military kind of taught us. Like you would get in trouble. Your commander or your first sergeant would say, show up at this building tomorrow at 06. You don't walk around and be like, hey, how do I get there? You just go to the base map and figure it out.
Yeah.
They do a good job of throwing you into the fire and making you learn it on your own because there's consequences for that. So it's not always a question thing. It's, hey, just show up here. I'm not going to waste my time telling you what to do. You'll figure it out. And as a military person, that's what makes most of us like alphas. We would have no problem walking to a room and asking a million questions because we have the confidence to already go in there and be the dumb E1 or E2 that doesn't know anything. Human.
And that was one of those things I always appreciated the folks who were at least trying to put the effort in to show it. I just want to know that you're putting in the effort and you're trying to succeed. You're trying to do better. And it happened all the time in the military. They ask 1,000 questions and it's, dude, you know exactly where to find this. You know how to do these things. Go do it. Go figure it out. To ask you questions, and how do you allow yourself to be open enough to allow them to ask the questions without getting upset, without having any of those issues? How do you encourage them to do those things that we're talking about right now?
That was one of my shortfalls, as treating them as basic trainees for a long time. They were both acting out of line. I woke them up at 6 a.m. I gave them unseasoned chicken and rice, 3 meals a day. And then they had chores and book reports throughout the entire day. So this happened on a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday. And it's because they were talking back, not following simple instructions. Hey, I've asked you probably 100 times not to leave your shoes out here. And they do it anyway. Yeah. Okay, you're not learning. So let me go ahead and help you. And then by the end of that Sunday, they were crying, saying, we get it, Dad. We don't want to go through this again. That alluded to your question where now I've created this authoritative, cemented spot in their head. So I have a hard time with them opening up. And a perfect example is my son's 17. He doesn't have his driver's license yet. He hasn't really asked for it, but I know that he wants it. But he doesn't want to impose anything on me because he knows I'm constantly in meetings. He doesn't want to say, hey, Dad, let's drive around for a couple hours because he's afraid that I'm going to snap at him, or not even snap at him and say, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. And even though I let him know, hey, man, I don't know what is happening in your brain. Please let me know, communicate to me, and I can try to facilitate help in any way. But over the last 10 years, I'm afraid of Dad. I don't want to talk to him because he might yell at me, to try to say, hey, my bad, I've changed. I'm a new person. Come talk to me anytime. It takes time for them to actually believe that I'm not going to snap at them again the way I used to. So I encourage them by trying to keep reminding them, hey, remember, like, GoBundance has made me a new perspective on the way I'm parenting. And I really care about what you want, what you think. And don't forget that I'm here if you need anything. So I remind them on a regular basis, but it's hard to undo 10 years of trauma and damage in a few months.
Today, I'm super excited to talk to Jeremy Cortez. I was amazed by a lot of the stuff you're doing, Jeremy, and I'm really looking forward to chatting about it. So when you are running through your business stuff and you're talking to your kids about business, first, how much do you talk to your kids about your business?
Whatever they ask. So I started thinking about bringing them to more of my business encounters, just so that they have more exposure to see what I do, even if it's just in the background. I pride myself on this. And this is going to be one of my core memories until I die. During the pandemic, my son's birthday, he turned 5. And he goes, so we talk about how much we made as kids, right? And he goes, he's, Daddy, I want this Mario toy. And I said, how much is it? And he goes, $30. And I'm like, $30 as a child? Oh my goodness, you might be out of your mind. I'm like, different time, different generation. Okay, fine. But then I said, you're 5. You're old enough to earn money. And he goes, and I am never going to give my kids allowance for chores. I'm not. My personal belief. So I'm like, you're going to have to earn money. And he goes, okay, how do I earn money? I'm like, oh, I said, you provide a value to someone that they're willing to pay. And he goes, what can I do to provide value? And I said, man, you're asking some good questions here, buddy. And I said, I usually like to start with, what do I have fun doing? I said, so I asked him, like, what do you have fun doing? And he said, I love to draw. Can I draw and have people give me money? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's find out. So it's a Tuesday morning. People are at work. And so we just start calling people. And I give them this small script that's, hi, I want to earn money to buy this toy. Can I draw something for you and sell it to you? That's in the script. No one's picking up their phone. And then he gets discouraged and I'm like, do you want to take a break? He's no. And so we finally get his uncle on a Zoom call. He says this thing. Sure enough, his uncle says yes. And so he's, what can I draw you? And he's, what do you want to draw? He's, I want to draw the Mario Brothers. Great. How much is it? And he looks at me and he goes, Daddy, how much is my toy? And I said, $30. He looks at his uncle and he says, $5. And I'm like, oh man, he's good. So
Nice.
he does this and then he gets $5. Uncle Venmos me the money. I give it to him and he goes, I want to do this again. We do this with this entire family. I get so excited. I post this online. Now people and I post this on a couple of entrepreneur groups. I get people saying, my girlfriend works as a kindergarten teacher. I want to hire him. I'll pay for shipping. Can he draw our 2 cats? And so I go in and I video him drawing the 2 cats, and then he gets the money. And his goal was $30. In a week, he made $150.
That's awesome.
And so there's a photo of him like counting his money, and there's another photo of him like having his toy at the end. I send it to everybody. I say, thank you so much for the support. And so I introduced them to, I'm like, oh, I could do this all day, every day.
Yeah.
So I introduced these concepts to both my kids in their ways so that they understand the value of money and understand how transaction. So I do that invariably, but if they don't ask, I don't tell. And at the same time, I'm also trying to expose them by having them with me when I do a photo shoot or when I do a consulting or whatever it is.
That's awesome. I think that just exposing our kids to that level of business understanding and thought and how money is actually made and transactions are done at the age of 5. That's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. I did not piece together. I love that you asked as well, what is it that makes you happy? What is it you like doing? And then chasing something that is after that, because then it becomes more about the thing you're doing and less about the money you're chasing, right? Because if you're enjoying it and you're able to make money doing it, what a deal. There's no point in being miserable your entire life and hating what you're doing just for trade time for money and being exhausted because you're doing stuff that you don't like doing. So pairing that together, I love it. The success rate is going to be higher because I am enjoying it for sure. And that doesn't mean, I guess, that just because you enjoy something, you're going to be successful. But if you want to be successful at something, you might as well try to be successful at something you enjoy.
Yeah.
So this first business endeavor of your oldest child was 4 years ago. He was 5, now he's 9. What does that look like over the last 4 years? Was that the first and only endeavor at this point, or has life changed a little bit and he's added more to it?
Yeah. So I asked him after he made his 150, I said, did you want to keep going? And he goes, no, I'm good. So close. And then at the same time, invariably, again, he'll ask for things and I'll say, can you earn? And he'll say yes, but then he figures a workaround. So he's got this clever gene, if you will. So there hasn't been a business ever since. But in the back of my mind, I just think, at the very least, I know he can do it because he's already done it.
Yeah.
And if we ever needed to, we can always come back to it.
And you put a challenge in front of him and he was able to accomplish it.
Yeah.
So that's good for him as well, to be able to see that and lean on that and be able to go back to that and be like, remember when you did this, how you crushed that, how you were able to get through that? Well, you do it again whenever you're ready. But I want to go into the concept that you talked about of not paying your kids an allowance, that sort of thing, right? Because I think it goes right in line with what you were talking about as far as, okay, this is how you go figure out how to earn money. And I would imagine going to be part of the conversation when he comes to you and says he wants something else and you're like, I earn money yet again. You know? How did you come to the idea or the conclusion that you did not want to do allowance? Yeah, let's just check that.
So I will first start by saying that I actually started with allowance when I was a child. And as I started to go through my businesses, I started seeing an underlying expectation about how money wasn't just given to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to use the word suffering, and the inconvenience of an emotion it was for me to have that type of expectation and not have it come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe in manifestation and energy and clarity and all that good stuff, but I also believe in action.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in teaching cause and effect. And then I also believe in setting a standard.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids love to watch their iPads, let's just say. But the standard is that the house needs to be clean before they can ever watch their iPad,
Mm-hmm.
which invariably creates a different type of playing. Because before I set the standard, what do kids do? They play with one toy, they leave it, and they move on to the next toy.
Mm-hmm.
They leave it, and then they blink their eyes, and all their toys is all over the house. By setting the expectation that they know that they have to clean before they are able to enjoy other things, once they play with a thing, they are now conscious to put that thing away
Mm-hmm.
before they start with a new thing. And for me, this became, okay, this is a standard of living. You are not going to get rewarded. You are not going to have a monetary benefit or a monetary reward for creating a standard of living. The byproduct of creating the standard of living is living with ease, meaning you will get the thing sooner than later. And I subscribe to, what's the book? Make Your Bed by the general. I forgot his name, but I say I make my bed every day, but then now my kids make my bed because they find it so fun. Not doing play. I'm like, because what I'll say is, who wants to help me make my bed or make mommy and daddy's bed? And they're like, I do, because they're at this age where they want to participate in everything. And I'm like, well, go for it, guys. And so they help make the bed, but then I'm not going to get paid for that, or they're not going to get paid for that. And if I made my own bed, I'm not going to get paid for that, but I do get the benefit of going to a made bed when I sleep at night.
Yeah.
So I came to this conclusion about monetary benefit and then life benefit, and that these two things have to be separated from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the monetary benefit that you get is going to be in direct proportion to the value you give another person, period.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how the world works. And so that's how I came to that conclusion. So an allowance, I say, I get it. But if you're capable, then why aren't you? I would set very unreasonable standards for my kids. But then I also look on, I'll do the death scroll of social media, and I'll find a video of a 4-year-old in a village cooking, like legitimately cooking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, my kids are capable.
Yeah.
I just need to set the standard. They will rise to the standard that I give them. No greater. So if I believe that they can't do this, then they can't do this because they're going to believe it too. So raise the standard. And again, if you're capable, I think about Patrick Bet-David and he's, my kids have to read 20 pages every single day since they were like 2 years old or whatever the case. And I tell my kids, it's okay. You have to read for 10 minutes a day. I don't care what you read, but you have to read for 10 minutes a day. I don't care what you read, but you're going to read it and then you're going to tell me about it. And what is the benefit of this? recollection, the ability to learn, the ability to recall and remember.
Yeah.
My oldest had a hard time reading. I think he had my reading disorder because he would read something and he wouldn't be able to figure it out. I'm like, history repeats, because I remember my parents doing this with me, and now I'm doing this with him. And eventually, in 3 months' time, we do this, and now he's remembering everything.
Yeah.
Who knew? And I even tell him, I'm like, look, buddy, you are reading dramatically more than I ever did when I was your age. So great job. You are surpassing me, and that's all I want. I want you to surpass me and put all my greatness to shame. Go for it. Have at it. And they can only do that by first understanding what the standard is. And the standard is going to be extremely high.
Love it. And do they know that you're setting high standards? Is that a portion of the conversation? It's no? Okay.
No.
You just set them and let them figure that part out.
Yes.
All right.
And then it's, this is hard. Awesome. Then I'm going to, I'll expose this.
Keep it up.
I know, like, great. You want to be a big kid? Take a good whip. This is what it feels like.
I'm excited to talk to Corey Robinson, a business owner, father of 4. Absolutely looking forward to enjoying some conversation. I want to pivot to the kids a tiny bit here and say, how have your kids been dealing with the transition of dad working from home, doing this stuff with businesses to now doing nothing but businesses? What kind of conversations have you had with the kids about all the changes that you guys have had?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun because kids, we're very transparent parents. And I don't know if that's a millennial thing. I don't know what it is, but like our kids know everything that's going on in our life. We're, I think, very open. And the conversations are all like, they're part of the process. They know what we're doing. They know why we're doing it. They know the freedoms that it offers us. They get to see the rewards. But we also talk about being responsible with our money, making a lot more, doing a lot more. But what does that mean? And what are our responsibilities for that? And how they can build what we have themselves, and why the freedom is so important. Why to start thinking about that young is so important. And it's funny, I talk about them like being involved in the business. Like my younger 2, like we used to mow our own lawns for the rental properties, and they would always go with me every summer. Like every summer, it's like, all right, guys, like it's Saturday morning, like hop in the truck, we're going. So they've witnessed all the hard work and everything that had to go into it to give them the lives that they now have. And I still at times, hey, we're going to pull you back down. We're going to go mow lawns this weekend because I don't want you to be so entitled. I want you to understand what all these people are working so hard for to provide the life that we have, so you can go on these vacations and you can travel the country and live out. So like, there's a lot of people that are doing a lot for us in order to get there. So I think that's like, been a big part of it too. It's funny, the other part, like when I talk about them being very involved, like our oldest, we bought a set of stores in Dallas, Texas, 4 of them. And I took them with me and he closed the deal. And so I like all the boys, like I like bring them to the business deal because like, hey, this is where business gets done. It's right here at the table.
Yeah.
So I try to make them a part of that and make them a part of the conversation. Yeah. And we talk about money. We talk about what money can do, how to use it, how to grow it, but then we actually get them involved in the process. So.
I want to know more about that for sure. Like the fact that you just said that your son sat at the table and helped close the deal is phenomenal to me. I love it. I want my kids to be as involved as they want to be. I don't want to force it on them. I'm blessed to be doing this with them already at a young age. My kids are 9, 5, and 1. So it's like I get to show them a whole new world that I never got to experience because I didn't even start doing business stuff. You said you bought your first in 2022. I started doing business in about 2018, 2017-ish. And that was mostly real estate and now running companies. But it's like a different world that they're getting to grow up in than I ever thought that I would be in, let alone did I ever see. So you're being very intentional, it sounds like, with bringing them into an understanding of the business. How excited are they to jump into that? Obviously, 22-year-old seems to be semi-excited, sat there at the table and help negotiate or do. At least. So how excited are your kids to be able to do it? And what level of involvement do you actually have them in right now?
Yeah. So I'll start at the top and work my way down. So the oldest is so he runs our business to business sales for Better Plus business. So he has a team underneath him and he drives that, but he's smart and real chatty. Yeah. Sales knack to him. He's really like a part of all the conversations they get behind the curtains. Cause they probably know a lot more about the business, the details of business, finances of business than all of our employees do. Cause I openly share that stuff. But they get to sit down at the table and watch as I try to develop other leaders They get to sit and look at what is our strategy, what is our plan, where our finance at, what does the P&L look like. And so he's a part of all of that. And then the 20-year-old, he actually runs one of the stores, and he is getting more and more involved on the kind of finance side. So he's helping with some of the tasks related to that. So he's getting a peek behind the curtain in a different way. They both want to own their own business here eventually. And so what I'm trying to do is develop them, trying to give them the proper skill sets and all that different areas of what it would be to be a business owner. And so obviously the books kind of see, he's leading a store. So he's got people underneath of him. He knows what it means to run a successful store. And his story been one of the most successful as far as growth and our KPIs go, which have been amazing. So the 20-year-old is getting more and more involved with the intent of stepping out on his own. My daughter never really shown a huge interest in the business up until late. So we have her doing some of the office work. So she'll send out bills and she's going to start like entering deposits and stuff like that. So, and then the youngest, the 15-year-old, his has all been mostly, he's probably the most exposed to and the one that I've been most intentional with, just because I have actually got to the point where I realized like, hey, I need to set the example. Like I need to be intentional. I need to have him involved. And so he's probably got more support than anybody else, because I'm at this stage of life now where he's still coming of age. But he's with me all the time. Like we're driving all over, whether it's picking him up from school or whether it's driving to basketball. I'm on the phone talking business everywhere we go. And so now I think he drowns a lot of it out, but I'm hoping that he picks some of it up. But I also make him, so one of the things that I do, like if he wants something, I don't always necessarily make him go out and like earn it. But what I will do is I'll say, hey, I want a summary of this. I want those $220 pair of Jordans or whatever it is for basketball. I want you to read this book and to provide me a summary of that. And so I'm like, you really want that crap? I want you to read this and at least know that you digest some of it. Probably doesn't mean crap to him today. I'm hoping in 10 years, that's what that book was talking about, right? So that's some of the ways that I try to get them involved, try to build that mindset with all of them.
Have any of your kids resisted that involvement?
I don't think any of them really. We've been very lucky, and I don't know if it was because we're such young parents, and the kids have grown up with us as we've grown up. We've evolved over the last decade, especially the last decade, but the last 15 years, we've grown up ourselves. And so we're really close. And I think that they may not be able to say it, articulate it well yet, but they've appreciated watching the journey, right? I know the older boys like understand now. And hey, our lives when we were little wasn't what our life was today. And we watched you guys really hard to build a life for us and for you guys self that you guys are proud of and that we want to emulate. The younger team, I don't know. And I wouldn't say that they all resisted. They've always been more than happy to get involved. And I think this is what dad does. And we enjoy spending time with dad. And this is one of the ways that we connect.
Yeah, what a blessing. That's awesome that they have wanted to do that. That's great. For me, when I was a kid, both of my parents were in the Air Force. So that's just what I thought I was supposed to do, is join the military. So that's what I did. I joined the Air Force and went off and did a bunch of stuff. And I wish that I would have been exposed to other things. Not that I fault my parents in any way, shape, or form for that. It's just I just wish that I would have been exposed to a whole bunch of stuff. And now your kids are getting exposed to a whole bunch of stuff and they still want to follow what you're doing. And that's, man, what a lot of fun. But you've been able to show them the freedom that the business gives and the freedom that you have and all of that. So you mentioned your 15-year-old traveling around with you a lot and being in the car list and all the stuff. As you were buying the apartment buildings while still having a W-2, were you already involving the kids in, real estate? I don't know specifically apartment buildings. That's just where my brain goes when I hear real estate. But when you were buying real estate while you were having your W-2, were you talking to your kids about that type of stuff then as well? Okay, these are the types of things that I know you mentioned, or you talked about obviously going and mowing the lawns and all of that type of stuff. But did they have involvement in the business side of it besides just the mowing the lawns and understanding that side? What kind of exposure did they have then?
Yeah, we talked a lot about it and the benefits of doing it. So the 20-year-old bought a house with the intent to live there for a couple of years, a little money down. He's going to rent it out for a couple of years.
Nice.
And the older two have been looking at apartment buildings and stuff together. So they understand the pathway to financial freedom through assets like real estate. And they're actually out demonstrating it, which is really an honor for me to see. They actually listen. And we're not like the 20-year-old went out and bought this house. So we're not part of it. Like he didn't even have us come look at it. He bought it on his own and
That's awesome.
didn't ask for anything. And it was really amazing. But we talked a lot about it, was how to do it, where to look. The oldest was just looking, he's moving. His girlfriend's going to go to grad school. So he's moving to a college town. And he was like, hey, come look at this house. Will you help me underwrite it? And so he wanted to learn, like, how do I see if it's going to make sense? And so, yeah, I can't point to any one time or anything. It's just that we did through the years of building that portfolio, but just being, I think, open and transparent with them. Not only just like the benefits that it offers, they got to see all the struggles and frustration and all that as well. And they still want to do it. And I think they want to do it because they've been able to see what we have been able, not only with our finances and with our time, that we didn't do a decade prior. And so, I don't know. I just feel like it was just like the timing where they're growing up and the timing where everything was coming together. It's like a perfect match.
Nice. I am super excited to talk to Jerry Tavella, dad, entrepreneur, finance guy. What do kids know about what you do for a living? How much conversation with them about that?
I think they're starting to learn more about really who I am professionally, the business that I've built, the lives that I have the opportunity to impact every day. I'm thinking of a funny story where this was a few years ago. So my daughter was maybe 10 or 11, where she explained to somebody that all I do is talk to people all day long. She doesn't know what I talk about, but that's what she thinks I do. I talk to people, right? But I don't think my kids truly have an appreciation for the work that we do and the work that I do to help people navigate the complexity of their financial lives, or now in my current role, helping entrepreneurial advisors build the businesses that they ultimately want to build. It's the only reason why I think that maybe more recently they have a little bit of a sense is that they've been able to attend more industry and company-wide events just because of where they are in life now. When they were younger, we kept them. I would always have these nice conferences and things that families would attend, and just what appeared from my wife and I's perspective as just bad times to take them out of school. And that's probably going to be a regret that I have down the road. To be perfectly honest with you, is that we prioritized grades. School is always very important, whether you're doing it at home or school is always the priority over anything else. But we were very sensitive to allowing them to miss a few days of their public school education to not go experience something that could be more meaningful, right? A conference, a trip, to expand their view of possibilities like we spoke about earlier. My wife and I have started to change our opinion on that. I think maybe COVID probably changed our opinion on that a little bit, and our appreciation or lack of appreciation for what they were maybe getting in school probably changed our opinion of that. But that was just 3-4 years ago, right? Before that, we didn't take my daughter out of school to go to a cool conference and see what dad does. And now that's starting to change. They've been around to some more company-wide events in the last couple of years, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't think they have a true appreciation for what I do on a day-to-day basis, how we help people navigate their finances and plan and build wealth. And I don't think they have a good sense of what I do now as the principal of the thing.
I want to challenge a couple of things. One, as you said, the school is always important, and I want to challenge that language and say that education is always the most important, right?
Thank you.
Because school is not always giving you education. And then you fed right into it. I could tell in the things you were saying that you agree with that sentiment. I just wanted to put the words to it, because the education that your children get on going to those conferences, on seeing what dad does, on understanding what mom and dad do, and how all of this came to be, is, to me, oftentimes that life education is way more important than whether or not you remember the War of 1812, right? Coming from a guy who wanted to be a history teacher, I threw that one at you. But I'm getting ready to go speak at a conference next week in Denver. And my intent is to bring my oldest with me. My wife and I have been going back and forth. Oh, should we do it? Should we not? Blah, blah, blah. I want to bring my oldest with me. He's 9. He's homeschooled. I'm not. And this was one of the biggest reasons I took them out of regular school and put them in homeschool, is my kids have now seen, not just driving through, because we drove from Florida to Texas and drove from Florida to Vermont. So they got to see a lot of states in between there. But they have spent multiple nights now in 6 different states since starting homeschool just this year.
And they would not have been able to do that if they were in regular school. So the education, they got to sit there and watch Dad put on his conference in San Antonio. They got to see me put on our company's conference in San Antonio and go and check out like real life history stuff, go walk through the Alamo and see what's actually going on and go walk through. We went to Philadelphia and spent a few nights in Philadelphia. Okay, let's see where the Declaration of Independence was written. And those types of things, like those hands-on tangible things, they'll never forget. And oh my goodness, Dad, what he's doing. He had 300 people in a room sitting there listening to him talk. That was awesome. Like those are, to me, again, it goes back to education is by far. And I'm not trying to make this a commercial of that you should homeschool your kids by any means. But to me, that was one of the benefits. Who cares? Yank them out of school. I can make up plenty in the week I'm going to pull them out of school that you're not going to teach them. Like you're not going to be able to teach half of what I teach in this week that I've got them out with me. I always try to encourage folks, like drag your kids with you if you can. Don't ever let school or your job stop you from using an opportunity to help your kids.
I really could not agree more. And the education piece and the exposure that they have to different things on the road, traveling, absolutely. But it's just the experience, right? For your kids, they're going to be opportunity to see you in front of a room of 300 people, right? My kids have seen me do that in pictures, but they didn't get to stand in the back of the room and observe it. And I think that matters. And I applaud you for that. And it's pretty cool. And I have to capitalize on the next opportunity I have to do that.
I said that specifically so you would applaud me and make me feel better. So I appreciate that. So, but it's one of those that's the looks you get sometimes when you say you homeschool is reminiscent of the looks that people used to give when like you and I were in junior high and high school. And you're like, oh, they're one of the homeschool kids. And it's like, oh man, homeschool has changed so much. It's ridiculous. I was just really, I was just reviewing literally right before we got on this call. I'm wanting to buy a few more things and I'm forgetting what I'm allowed to buy with the money that Florida gives me for homeschool. I could buy my kid a brand new set of golf clubs every 2 years with the money that the state gives me for homeschool stuff. I can buy his golf lessons. I forgot that the 2 golf leagues he's in, I can actually use the homeschool stuff. So now I got to go find the receipts for that. Go turn them in. Like I paid for all this golf stuff and I get it paid for it. It's like, what the heck am I doing? So I get him, experiencing so many different things by doing this as well. And the ability to make his world. Like I've got this science stuff. Man, that's another thing I need to pay for. I've got the science project thing that comes in every month. Man, oh man, I got to write all these notes on things I need to get reimbursed by the state for. But again, it's not like what homeschool was when we were kids.
No. And I said, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to go back and review your notes on what you need to, what you can get reimbursed for. No, but I agree. Obviously, especially in the last 4 years, people's opinion of that path is very different. And it's cool that the world is changing in that way.
So now I'm gonna challenge you, throw something at you. What conversation do you want to have with your kids now that we just exposed all this out? And what do you want to expose your kids to in your job that you haven't yet? What conversations do you want to start striking up at dinner or wherever to get some of this education flowing?
There's a couple of things. There's obviously bringing them around and helping to expand their view of possibilities. I have had the opportunity. We opened up a brand new office in Midtown Manhattan. At this point, my son's been there. My daughter will be there. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, she'll take a day off from school and come with me and just get to see it, and how I interact with so many people.
Nice.
How I help a lot of different people. I think bringing them to the office with some regularity is pretty cool. I opened up a small satellite office here closer to home. And I think they're keenly aware of why I did that. And they've been around and witnessed that project. We have big offices in Westchester, New York, and Midtown Manhattan. I live up in Fairfield, Connecticut, and I opened up an office during COVID for the sole purpose of I'm always going to be closer to home, but I don't want to be in the home working all the time. And my kids get that, right? So I'm around the corner. There's this really cool space that I get to go to, but it's 10 minutes away instead of an hour away. So I have been able to expose my kids to that, and they've gotten to appreciate that I've been able to design my life because of the career that I have. But with respect to specific conversations, I'm going to absolutely make sure that they appreciate the story of the start of my career, the chance that I had because I put myself out there in what was seemingly a pretty random conversation. The point is, you don't know what's going to come from any particular conversation with anybody. You don't know what the possibilities are. And any limiting thought around what could or couldn't be an opportunity is such a mistake. So there's that conversation, that story. But I think we can all do a better job of coaching our kids on how personal finance works. I think that's a big thing that lacks in, we come across people all the time that are seemingly successful in whatever it is that they do, and they have a real lack of understanding of how personal finance works. And I think given the work that I do and the coaching that I do around how money works and mortgages and insurances and investments, my kids are getting to an age where they absolutely can start to retain some of this, and it needs to be more of a dinner table type conversation, not necessarily, and I guess this is a debate, should it be about our finances or not, which I think is an interesting conversation, but just about how money works, right? And how economies work and how investments work and how saving for a home works, right? And how, leverage works and debt, good debt, bad debt. Those are conversations that as my kids get older, I'm certainly more inclined to share with them.
Yeah. I don't know have you heard of the game Cash Flow? Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, it's a game called Robert Kiyosaki, Good Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So Cash Flow is an important game. They've got a Cash Flow Junior as well. And so it's my 9 and 5. So we play the Cash Flow Junior one. And it opens up a lot of those conversations that we can have anyways. Oh, remember that mortgage that you had to pay on that thing? That's what Daddy pays on his house. And like and we can go back and forth about all this stuff. And it brings up some fun conversations about getting out of that rat race and understanding what personal finance is. And because for me, I didn't know even what a savings account was till I got married. It was like, who saves money? That doesn't make any sense to me. I was in the military. My parents were both Air Force, and then my dad got a job working for the state in New York. So he got his paycheck every 2 weeks, and that's just what you did. And then you had 2 weeks to spend it before you got another paycheck. Like, I didn't know any difference at all. Saving, like, that wasn't, I learned how to balance a checkbook in like home ec many years ago, but that was as far as that went. It was balancing a checkbook. And then I went and learned how to sew a pillow. So when I juxtapose those two things, okay, so both of these are just got it. I'm going to sew a pillow and balance my checkbook. Yeah, okay, that's funny. Right. So but no, like I want to get my kids involved in all of that as much as possible. Teach them about business, teach them about finances, help them understand that I don't care if they go into business themselves. I don't care what they do with their life as they grow up. I do. Obviously, don't get me wrong. I don't want them to be in a gutter somewhere, but I want them to be as exposed to way more than I ever was. And that goes to what you said before when you went to college, right? You were exposed to so many more different things that you didn't know. And then you're like, wow, I'm going to change my major. I'm going to change my whole idea for what I'm going to do for my life. What I was exposed to. That's where, again, that education side of the house is never stop learning, never stop growing. And that's what I'm trying to push on the kids as much as possible. Welcome to the Biz Dad podcast. Today, I am excited to talk to Matt Eyre. How have you best been handing off that information, and how are your kids, or how much do your kids know about your business and what you do in that realm?
I talk about it. So I'm 50. I'll be fit. I'm 49. I'll be 50 this year. Okay. So highly motivated to get things going. Definitely, I talk about my work. My kids are I let them know, like, when I come back from Go Abundance events, I share what I learn, what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And one cool thing that I brought back was the bucket list stuff. And I can talk about that in a little bit, but also like the miracle morning stuff. And so I created, after reading like Vivid Vision. So I'm a visionary guy. So I created a vision board, and it sits right there in our coffee room in the morning. And I tell my families on there, this is the goals. This is where I'm heading. This is what I'm working towards every day. These are the visions. And so in the morning, sitting through silence and doing affirmations, and then hitting the vision board, visualizing where we're going, what we're doing. And so my kids and family are very much a part of it. We got a beach house on there. We got the family office on there. We got flex industrial space. They like to own a mobile home park, these different things. And there's a picture of us on a chairlift, all 5 of us skiing.
Nice. And
for that what that symbolizes to me is the family doing fun things, but also on the chair, meaning enjoy the ride. And so they're very much a part of the vision, and they see it every day. It sits in the room, and I'll share very much about Miracle Morning stuff and I am statements and visions. And it's funny with the I am statements. I recommended the other dads is to try to get your kids to say I am statements. So I'll be in the car with my son, Easton, and I'll say, Easton, I'm talking about I ams and this and that. I'll say, I want you to say, do you believe that you are an amazing ice hockey player, or you are an incredible athlete? I said, Easton, I want you to say, I am an incredible athlete, or I am an amazing ice hockey player. So I've tried it with all of my kids. They don't like doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm like,
my
you
kids
have
don't
to
either.
speak.
Yeah.
You have to visualize, believe, speak, visualize it, be that, be incredible. They don't like doing it. It's rough.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't like doing it. Like it's uncomfortable even for me as an adult. So I would imagine, I don't know, it could go both ways. Do I not like it because of do I actually believe it? And is it just like, oh, I'm just faking this? Or do I not like it because I don't know why? But a kid, you would think that they don't like, what do they feel judged by it? Like, what's the issue with it? But for some reason, my kids don't like to say those things either. And I think that maybe it is a true, like maybe they just don't believe it. So it's hard for them to say it out loud. They may say, yeah, Dad, I agree with what you're saying, but not the heart has to really be in it to say, I am an amazing ice hockey player. Your heart has to really be there for that. What have you found is a way that has helped them, or maybe you haven't found it yet, a way to really help them overcome that so that they aren't afraid to say that and they start working towards it?
I haven't gotten there yet. I'll let you know.
Yeah, because like my 9-year-old, he's 4th grade, good golfer, loves to be out there, but he is comparing himself constantly to all the other golfers out there that are really good. So he'll compare himself to the number one. If he's comparing himself to the number one, then of course he's not a good golfer because I'm not the number one. So I'm not a good golfer. I'm terrible at this. And I'm like, no, like you're a really good golfer. If I brought any other 9-year-old out here, you're going to smoke them. But you're just playing at a higher level and seeing these kids that you're striving to be more like. It's been difficult to try to encourage that because it's just, no, I see the other kids, what they're doing. Like I'm not them. It's like, but I want you to be you and just enjoy being you. What kind of feedback have you received from your kids about whether it's sports or about business or about life that has let you know that you're doing good? And what kind of feedback have you gotten from your kids that have let you know you're doing bad?
They're very excited. Since I joined GoBundance, I've been talking a lot about real estate. And so they're definitely excited about learning about real estate and investing. I didn't get a ton of that growing up. And so I'm letting them know there's a lot to learn out there. And there's all these different, it's more than just homes and flipping homes. There's RV parks and self-storage and mobile home parks. And there's lots of things to learn and do, and a lot of asset classes to learn to figure out. And let's see, what was the rest of the question?
Yeah, it was like, what kind of feedback have they given you that lets you know you're doing good? And what sort of feedback have they given you that you're doing bad?
One thing I'm doing, and one thing I'll take it in this direction. One thing that I'm doing with the kids when I came back from my first GoBundance event ever was in Dallas, and Travis Bell spoke, and he's the bucket list guy. And I was I still have his book here. I can keep it with me all the time. And I wanted to really implement this with the kids. And this is something that I wanted to do with them. And most guys think about when they're doing their one sheet or whatever, they're thinking about their bucket list. So I don't want to poke anything, but they're thinking about their stuff. And I'm putting myself down, and I said, you know what? I get my bucket list down. I said, I need to do this with my kids. I need to figure out what their bucket list stuff is so that I know what so I know what's important to them in life. And one step further is I said, I need to do this with my wife. I need to understand what her bucket list is so that I can make her goals to my goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so very quickly I guess that was early into 2023, after an ice hockey game, my son and I went to a diner, and on the back of the checks I carry around with me every day in my book, in the back of a little check, we wrote down, I said, Easton, what's important to you, buddy? And we wrote down a whole bunch of stuff that he wanted to try to do in the year. He wanted to go to a Caps ice hockey game. He wanted to rent jet skis at the lake house. He wanted to jump off like a high jumper, a pool high jump. He wanted to go snowmobiling. He wanted to go skiing. He wanted to do some type of flying with his uncle. He wanted to do an RV camping trip, and he wanted to go to a NASCAR race. And so I said, wow, okay, this is great. And because I have the list, we can start planning these things out. We can start doing things. And we got about 80% of that done just last year. And then the other stuff will roll over to next year. And then so on my one sheet, I said over Christmas, because we're sitting at home and it's the end of the year and all the kids are home. So on my one sheet, the cool thing about the bucket list book, it gives you like an architecture, because it's not just travel and trips. It gives you a cool architecture for things to think about. So it's meet a personal hero. So who's a hero in your life?
Ooh, nice.
What are your proudest achievements? Buy that something special. Ultimate challenges. conquer a fear. And so conquer a fear was be on a podcast. So you are helping me achieve one of my bucket list items. Kind acts for others, express yourself, take lessons, leave a legacy, idiotic stuff, satisfy curiosity, and travel adventures. And that's my bucket list down there. And so travel adventures is just one of the things. So with each of the kids, my one sheet under the bucket list tab, I have all those items lined up. And then the kids, and I say, each kid has a line. Hey, who's your hero? What is the challenge you want to do this year? And one thing that was really cool that came out of that was my daughter wanted to run a half marathon. And my daughter Brinkley, and I was looking under ultimate challenges. And then under my ultimate challenges, I was looking for a Misiogi for 2024. I was like, oh, I can't barely run 2 miles right now because my knee hurts. I was like, oh, I'll run a half marathon with you. Let's do it when we go to the beach this summer. So because I had her bucket list, I was able to line up 2 activities, and now we can create a memory together and run a half marathon on the beach this summer when we're having a family vacation. And so that is something that it's awesome to think that all of this came together from GoBundance and understanding my kids, their biggest wishes and desires. And then you can look, and some things have already come true from put down there in Christmas this year. We put some things down for my kids, and some things we've already been able to check off some stuff. And man, does that feel good to show them, hey, look, we got this done. We did this. And so
I love that so much.
It's create memories with your kids and your family is really special. And that's one thing that's awesome about GoBundance is about the family time, the making memories, the time doing big things, and you certainly can't take the money with you and do those great, amazing things with your kids and your family. And so it certainly adjusted my mindset around that. Like this weekend, we're going to play, my daughter Brinkley and I, we're going to Delaware turf to play field hockey all weekend. Instead of driving back and forth, I said, she loves the beach. I said, let's run a beachfront condo. We're going down to the beach, you and me. We rented a fun Ford Bronco just to drive something fun down for the weekend on the Toro. You got me on the Toro. So we're renting a Bronco. We're driving to the beach. We're going to do a lot of field hockey, but in our time off, we'll be able to sit on our patio and go out to dinner and eat on the water and just like really bond. And I probably wouldn't have done that, taken advantage of that time if it hadn't been for abundance and bucket list stuff and just knowing what your kids want. So I hope that answers.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love the marrying up of and that's something I'm trying to do constantly is marry up what I'm doing in my business life with my kids and how I can do all of that. And learning about the stuff in our business life can really affect how we even communicate with our kids about the stuff or the mistakes that we're making, all the different things that we could do. And like the marrying up of your bucket list stuff, your personal bucket list with your kids' bucket list. Absolutely love. This year was the first year I've done that with my kids where I sat down. My 2 oldest are 9 and 5. So sitting down, okay, what are your bucket list items? One of them is go camping. Okay, easy. That's for a 5-year-old, that's clearly a bucket list item is to go camping, right? We've done camping in the backyard together, but that was not quite the camping. One of the things that my 5-year-old wants to do is I want to go camping somewhere where I can go into a cave where there are bats. And I was like, all right, now I'm going to find somewhere we can go camping where there's a cave that are bats. One of the things they wanted to do, they were learning something in homeschool where there's a massive banyan tree down in Fort Myers, Florida. My wife had a day off from work and we said, all right, let's jump in the car. So we just jumped in the car and hit one of their things that they wanted to do. A little mini family adventure, went to this large banyan tree and checked out all these different things. And I was like, what the heck? It's one of the beauties about working from home and doing the homeschool thing that I do now. And I'm just like, I can, wherever, if it's a moment where the kids are ready and I can bring them there, let's do it. Why? Don't waste the time. Take advantage of it because you have in here, one of your favorite books that you mentioned was The Family Board Meeting. And when you only have 18 summers and you only have these things that you need to do with your family, like putting that as a priority well over making $1 bajillion or whatever it is. I've called multiple people out on their bucket list stuff, like you're saying about where's your family on any of this? Like your family has nothing to do with your bucket list stuff, really? Like none of the biggest things you have in your life you want to do with your wife and kids? And then all of a sudden it's, oh crap, yeah, I totally do. And I made that mistake massively when I built my entire future, my wife's future, my kids' future, my future. I wrote it all out on a piece of paper and never talked to my wife and kids about it at all. I just said, no, this is our future. And it was like, you selfish idiot. No, like they have a huge part in this.
The bucket list with the kids was a big thing.
Yeah.
Miracle Morning, and that was a big thing. The vision board, sharing, I am statements, even just trying to be a good example for your kids. Like I've got my daughter Brinkley right now is doing 75 hard, and I'm very proud of her. And the cold plunging has been exciting. We left our pool open until after Christmas, and we were getting in the pool, cold plunging, and that was pretty fun.
Awesome.
And let's see, things I just want to be able to teach my kids about investing as soon as possible. And it's trying to be able to leave a legacy for them and I just want them to be proud of me, and I want to try to equip them with all the tools that they have. And my wife's been an amazing partner and an amazing leader for the kids. And I also I talked a lot about my dad in the beginning and his parents, but I also want to recognize, I didn't get a chance to really recognize my mom, and her name is Joanne Eyre, and she's been an amazing mother and incredibly supportive mother to myself and my two brothers. I have another brother, Kevin. My mom's been great, and they've been great grandparents, and we're going to go see them next week down in Naples for spring break with the kids.
Awesome.
But I did want to just recognize my mom on the podcast. I didn't get a chance to talk about her in the beginning.
Yeah, no sweat. So one of the things that you said, I want to go back to, you said you want your kids to be proud of you.
Yeah.
What does that them being proud of you? What does that mean to you? And what does that show up like in your life?
Great question. So I just want them to be like, wow, my dad did everything he could for me to be successful. My dad gave me this knowledge. He gave me these opportunities. He equipped me with the knowledge to be able to have passive income streams, to know about passive income streams. That's one of the things on my leave a legacy. It's that the kids have like a real estate empire, or they're very wise with passive investing, and they know how to do things, or they're even in vertical. Maybe they'll be super smart in business, and that's why I do try to talk a lot about what's going on in business at home. And I want them just to have the tools and the knowledge to be way more successful than me, and not to have to work as hard as me.
I am super excited to talk to Michael Newborn today. Would you like to include your son in that type of conversation? Not necessarily, hey, let's get you onto social media, but hey, or maybe you already do it. Like, hey, this is business. This is what daddy does. This is where I'm at. Like, when are you going to, or have you already started to include him on those types of conversations?
I think one of the questions that was asked as we led up to this podcast was, what does your son think you do for a living? So I asked him, and he said, Dad works on the computer. So that's his perspective of my work, which is fairly accurate. Most of my professional life has been behind a screen and a keyboard. Now it's got a microphone and a headset more than ever, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it to him right now, what this looks like or how it will turn out, other than some of the important elements of it. Don't try not to go it alone if you can. I think, at least in my experience, having a partner, a co-host, a sounding board of some sort to travel the road less traveled by many in something like this benefits tremendously from having somebody you can share that experience with. Keep the expectations in check for yourself so that you can remember to have fun and learn. And if things turn out better than expected, great. But most importantly, do your best work. Give it all you got every day. And whatever the outcome of that is, that's life. And that's what I'm hoping he sees from me. And having gone from working for other companies to this, whether it becomes a full-time business or is maybe a long-term passion project, it's given me the ability to be more present with my family and my son and be in control of my schedule and my most precious commodity around time.
Welcome to the Biz Dad podcast. I am very excited and honored to chat with Eyre and Hale today. What have you been talking to your kids about when it comes to business and investing? Because obviously you learned a lot, and I'm curious where you decided to, or how you dug into learning about investing and whatnot. But how do you talk to your kids about the business side and the investing side?
The twins being 5, I was still trying to get them to understand what the different types of coins are. Yeah. And by the time they understand, they'll probably be useless anyways. I thought, these are fun. I told to them the value of things. The difference between price and value, and right now is just what different things cost. This is equal to 5 of these quarters here.
And it just teaches you about money at this point. My son, who is just being a teenager, is the difference between value and price. And also the value of a dollar earned versus a dollar given. The value of things that you've purchased with something that the money that you've created for yourself versus something that's just been handed to you. Yeah, and that's a tough thing nowadays because for a lot of new kids, I've got to create challenge for them. They're a huge challenge. Like you can earn money by doing certain tasks around the house, chores, that kind of thing. Also, I have a reading list separate from his school assigned reading. If he reads or listens to the audio book, these are from my reading list, and then creates and writes an essay on it. So I understand. I know that he understands the lessons. Man, I got 50 bucks. Wow, thanks. He's completed one so far. Totally excited about it. I gave him 25 bucks. He's like, "Where's the rest?" "Oh, I invested that for you."
Nice.
I think 50% of your income going to your own results is more than fair right now. Wow. It's responsibility. It's reward and responsibility. And I've got to feel like it's my responsibility to ease him into it. I can't just give him all the money and expect to divide it into savings and investment, charitable giving. So I say, here's what we're going to do. You can decide within reason how much you want to save, how much you want to invest, how much you want to spend, and how much you want to give to charity. By I get veto power, or I have an extra voting right here. We'll discuss it. If you want to make changes, we can do that. If you think, I also know that he has to have some incentive or some immediate incentive. So I literally have that spending money that he can just blow on stuff. All right, because he's still a kid, he's still learning. All of us, humans, adults included, it can't be all immediate gratification, and it should all be that for the greater good payoff down the road.
Yeah, for sure. Do you still do the EOD fudge, or is that more is that still up and running? You still out there cooking that? The EOD fudge, are you still in the kitchen making that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm still active online. And from time to time, we still do the TikTok videos, Hale's couple without looking. I still love it. I've stepped out of the production. I'm cooking myself. And we've hired others to make my recipes. The home kitchen is the TikTok studio and the R&D lab. And that's another way I get to spend time with the boys. Then we can cookies.
Yeah.
We get together, we cook things. And just last week, we made ice cream, and the boys loved it. Good often. So that's a way I can bond with the kids and have my farm as well.
Do you pay your kids as part of as employees of your business as they help with the R&D and the cooking?
They're
good.
Yeah, I love that. When the twins, it is the pimping and pennies and nickels and stuff as their immediate gratification.
Yeah,
the part of that long-term goals. We also set up 549 plans. We've got they've each got lost. And to do it, we put them all under the payroll.
Good.
Of course, you have to be careful there. They have to track their hours like any other payroll, right? That's part of being an entrepreneur business owner is only paying the taxes yourself. You have to, and not getting the government any tips.
Of course, to go back to their healthy mistrust of the government.
It's cheap. I'd rather give it to my kids' future than to the government. Same as they're nothing but burn.
Yes, absolutely. Completely concur. And when you look at it from that front, like it's an expense on your business, and you can write your kids. Mind you, everybody listening, I am no tax expert, please, or legal expert. Please refer to your tax advisor and legal folks on how to actually structure these things. But paying your kids, setting up a contract for what is a reasonable fare in that area, at a reasonable fee in that area, paying your folks, it's an expense on your business, income for your kids. You can help them manage their income with the way that they need it to, such as an IRA or something along those lines. So that's awesome. I love that you're jumping on that.